Let's see what's on. Happy Thanksgiving, buddy.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Guys Night Live. I'm Jesus, and welcome to another edition of Thankful for Thanksgiving. On today's episode, we're going to be focusing on a show that's not a TV show necessarily, but it is entertainment, and it is kind of a show, and it is offered every year for Thanksgiving and around Thanksgiving time. And that show, well, we're just going to get right to it. It is Survivor Series. It's from WWE, formerly WWF, World Wrestling Federation, now World Wrestling Entertainment. Survivor Series has always been a Thanksgiving staple. And it's on the pay-per-view, so it's one of the more important shows that used to pay for pay-per-view back in like the 80s, 90s, 2000s. Now they call them PLEs or whatever. I think it's called PLE, stands for Paid Live Event. But the Survivor Series was always a Thanksgiving staple for the WWF or WWE, WWF at the time. It was considered one of the big four events or pay-per-view events that they had, which was they had WrestleMania, they had Royal Rumble, WrestleMania, SummerSlam, and then Survivor Series. And so it was pretty much like one every quarter, give or take, because Royal Rumble was always in January, and then WrestleMania was always about in April, and then SummerSlam was in like June or July, and then Survivor Series was in November. That was the rotation. But what made Survivor Series great and always it's a Thanksgiving staple is because it was kind of fun. Like they had teams, like so they would have teams of four, and then they kind of switched it to teams of five, but it's usually teams of four, and it usually deal with someone that was having like a storyline with someone, and they'd get their team together and they'd fight each other, and then it would be like four, like let's say Hulk Hogan, a Big Boss Man, Hacksaw Jim Duggan, and he would be fighting Earthquake and Bruno and Haku and the Barbarian or whoever, and that was back like in the 80s or late 80s, 90s. And they would be fighting each other in the sense of like their team. So let's just say that Hulk Hogan beat Earthquake, so then Earthquake would get eliminated, and then there'd be 3-on-4, and then whatever team won or was the last man standing would continue or would win the match. And I always thought that was cool, and it was always fun because it's just kind of involved all the wrestlers in the organization and a lot of different teams, and it was just a lot of fun. There was just different teams, like from the 1990s, there's the Hulkamaniacs and the Natural Disasters, and there's the Perfect Team, Mr. Perfect, then the Ultimate Warriors and the Vipers or the Jake the Snake. They had a couple time. There was like the Doink team. It was like Doink the Clown and all these little wrestlers that were with them, and then the Kingsmen. And so it was like kind of fun and comical and ridiculous, but it was always just like it was always a good time. And the pay-per-view, unlike all the pay-per-views that used to be, they used to be in like on Sunday. Now they're kind of like on Saturday. Sometimes they're on Sunday, but now they're all on Saturday or Sunday. But they used to be on Sunday. But this one was always on the Wednesday. It was always on the Wednesday before Thanksgiving, which kind of made it like a little more special. And I always remember like in the 90s when we would go to like my grandma's house. So my grandma lived about 7 hours, not 6 hours. It was more like 7 or 8 hours away. We would drive up to her house, and then it was like the week of Thanksgiving. We'd go up to her house and we'd be there. And I just remember being there, and my grandma and aunts, and being there with my cousins and everyone cooking and stuff like that. And it was fun. It was a lot of fun. And then the pay-per-view, like sometimes my uncle and everyone would pitch in, and we get the pay-per-view and we watch Survivor Series like the day before Thanksgiving. And it was just a lot of fun. It was like, all right, it's the holidays. It's, Christmas is around the corner and Thanksgiving is tomorrow, and we're watching the Survivor Series. And it was just a lot of fun. A lot of exciting times. There's the gobbledygoo. I remember there's a big egg that was going to hatch, and it was like a kind of big disappointment because it was just a turkey that came around dancing. I thought it was awesome because I was a kid when I saw that. But yeah, it just was like, it's just a fun event to kind of kick back and relax and have fun. But a lot of big things happened at Survivor Series. The Undertaker made his debut at the Survivor Series. the Montreal Screwjob. If you're familiar with wrestling, hopefully this is ringing true. But the Montreal Screwjob, that was a big thing for Survivor Series. There was a Chuck Norris was on a Survivor Series one time. He was the enforcer for the Yokozuna versus Undertaker casket match to make sure no one interfered. And there was, just a lot more things that happened at Survivor Series. But like I said, it was always one of those things that I love. Like I said, if you love wrestling, this is one of the things that you love about Thanksgiving. It's a standard Thanksgiving staple. The one thing is that Survivor Series has changed throughout the years. So I love the classic Survivor Series. So I love the classic elimination and teams and stuff like that. But it's changed because that's what Survivor Series was for me, like different teams and eliminations. And then they changed it in about 2015 or 16. They changed it to like the brand competition. So it was like SmackDown versus Raw. And I didn't like that because the Raw Women's Champion versus the SmackDown Women's Champion. And then we have Team Raw versus the SmackDown Raw or SmackDown team or whatever. And it was just like there was no storyline. It didn't mean anything. And it just was... It's kind of bland. It was kind of boring. And I've never liked that. I have always just liked the traditional like elimination. And so they got rid of the brand thing back in 2022, which is great. And I was like, awesome. Now we're going to go back to traditional Survivor Series. And it's like, nope, they eliminated the brand thing, which is great. But then now they have Survivor Series WarGames. And Survivor Series WarGames was a thing from WCW. And it's kind of like Survivor Series, but not. So you do have teams of 4 or 5, but you're all fighting at the same time. And then when one person is pinned, then the match is over. There's no elimination. It's just over. And so it's just kind of like, okay, like it's kind of cool, but it's like WarGames. WarGames was a WCW pay-per-view. And it's like, why is Survivor Series being called WarGames? Survivor Series is its own thing. So anyways, that's what they're doing now for Survivor Series. It's called Survivor Series WarGames. So you don't really even get like a traditional elimination match. I think they're doing something on SmackDown now for the Friday night show, a traditional elimination match, but not even on the actual Survivor Series show, the pay-per-view or PLE or whatever, which is kind of lame. It'd be cool to just have like 2 or 3 matches of teams and eliminations, but I guess it's just a different era and different things. But I hope at some point they bring back the traditional elimination for Survivor Series. So anyways, for this for Thanksgiving, check out Survivor Series for sure, which is another thing because it used to always be like the Wednesday before Thanksgiving, like I said, like being at grandma's and we'd watch Survivor Series, and then it turned into the Sunday before Thanksgiving, which is fine because it's still before Thanksgiving, but now it's just like right around Thanksgiving. So Survivor Series this year is actually in my neck of the woods in San Diego, and I might go. So I'll try to go and hopefully I'll give a call back and review on it. But it's pretty expensive here in San Diego. It's at Petco Park, home of the Padres. Go Padres! But yes, it is the Saturday after Thanksgiving, so it doesn't have as much like nostalgia feel when it's after Thanksgiving, but like I said, the traditional nostalgia of what Survivor Series used to be with Thanksgiving is not the same anymore. So it's still a staple. So definitely check out some classic Survivor Series if you're into wrestling and stuff like that. It's on Peacock. And yeah, so for Guys Night Lab, I'm Jesus, and I'll catch you in the next one. All right, bye.